Hello, welcome back to Rapid Regeneration. I'm Dave Escamilla. I'm not a doctor, I'm not a medical professional, I'm not making any medical claims or claims about diseases. We're here today with a guest who is actually a medical doctor. Please know that whatever she says on this program is not medical advice. We're talking about our own experiences here. But we're very excited to talk today with Dr. Areli. She's someone that I've known now for a few years and I've been following. And um, Dr. Areli is someone who is, she's an independent thinker. She's gone through, the top schools and gone through the medical system, and she's in that world that takes a lot of brain power and intellectual smarts, but she's also a very independent thinker, figures out things for herself, and it's just someone that I admire a lot, and I'm excited to learn from today. So, Dr. Aurelie, thanks so much for being with us.
Oh, thank you, Dave. Do you go by David or Dave? Sorry.
Dave, please,
Dave.
please.
Okay. Yeah, no, thank you. I appreciate the open-mindedness and also how receptive you are to listen to different things. And, just like you, I arrived to the kind of like more natural way of living and how humans are supposed to be eating and all of that from the natural perspective. And it's really convincing and it's, very valid, but there are certain points where we need to pay more attention and actually question ourselves and what we have believed and have that intellectual honesty to actually correct, amend, or tweak certain things in order to be healthy. At the end of the day, it's about health. So that's been my approach all this time. And obviously, it took me some years to figure out. Like, I've been raw vegan for since 2018. So I was living that lifestyle exclusively for 5 years until 2023, that I decided to go high raw for the purposes of increasing my protein intake. It's easier as a high raw vegan than an exclusive raw vegan.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, so I want to talk with you about that and talk about how you look at the macros in terms of getting the best body composition. But before we do, take us back because I think you changed your diet around 2008 and went more vegetarian, and then more vegan in 2013, and then eventually raw foods vegan in 2018. So what was that evolution like? What was going on in the mid to late 2000s when you started to make these changes?
Yes. Well, I was in my internship in Mexico. We have a mandatory year that you live in a hospital and basically you do night shifts, like you're awake for 48 hours straight and then you rest. It's crazy. So the only way that you can survive that is by eating when you are awake, midnight or past midnight. So I gained a lot of weight after that year of internship, and that made me look for answers. How can I lose this weight? And, as you know, until recently, some medical schools have incorporated nutrition in their curriculum. Before, it was unheard of. So I didn't know anything about nutrition until my last year or before my graduation after that internship. So I found out the Atkins diet, which is similar to a carnivore diet because you eat animal protein. I was not vegan at that time. That was 2007, around 2007. So I ate animal products 3 times per day, and I lost the weight because obviously it's a restrictive diet. At the
Okay.
end of the day, it's less calories. So I lost the weight, and that sparked my interest in nutrition. And then, at the time, 2007, 2008, there were a lot of YouTubers talking about raw veganism, things like that. So I came across those. And again, not knowing anything better because my medical school didn't taught me, I just said, you know what? I don't feel great eating meat and animal products every single meal. I'll just decide to investigate more. And I came across vegetarianism because I was missing my fruit a lot. I was a heavy fruit eater before, during childhood, and restricting myself for that year of Atkins diet when I lost all the weight, it was not sustainable for me. So I was like, okay, yeah, definitely vegetarianism makes sense. So I incorporated the carbs back, everything, like I would say, a balanced diet, but it was more heavy on cheese because I was yeah, vegetarian, and sometimes eggs and things like that. But for the most part, it was plant-based. And then it was until, so I lived as a vegetarian for 5 years, more or less. And I was doing great. I have my carbs and my plants and fruits until, for ethical reasons, I watched this movie, Earthlings, because I was
Oh,
consuming more content. When you go vegetarian, you start going into that sphere of thought. So I came across, famous vegetarians in the world, and I came across Joaquin Phoenix, and I thought, okay, let's watch his movie, Earthlings, and that made me shift overnight as a vegan because I
mm,
was, crying and so emotional. Was an emotional response for me to go vegan. I didn't know how I will make it, but along the way, I started because I am, as you mentioned, and thank you for the compliments. I'm very inquisitive. So if I jump into something out of an emotion, yes, but at the same time, I monitor, like, am I doing it the right way? What is missing? So I didn't supplement with B12 for probably a year or so until I started with tingling sensations in my fingers, things like that. And then I read about B12 deficiency. And then I became more and more interested in nutrition. And part of my career as a pathologist, I really go deep into the inflammatory process and the inflammatory cascade in our bodies. And it totally made sense. The more I kept researching, it totally made sense that the less inflammation we put in our system, the best we're going to do. So I realized, okay, raw food seems to be the less inflammatory. And then, around that year, you saw all this rise of YouTubers talking about the benefits of raw food. So one ingredient was my own background, and the other was the excitement of seeing these communities thriving, or apparently that's what the YouTube channels told me. So I just said, you know what, raw vegan is the answer. So I transitioned from veganism. Probably I lasted as a vegan and eating obviously junk vegan food, Thai, Chinese noodles, and all of that, and then transition gradually into raw. And then when you are transitioning into raw, you notice how you feel when you go back to cook food. And then
sure.
when you stay for a long time raw and, this clean state of mind. And I said, okay, enough. I need to make a commitment. That type of person, like, okay, this is the day. And it was January 2018, that after I was vegan for another 5 years, more or less, I was like, it's time to go raw. And that sparked my curiosity to create content on social media and document my journey and, sharing the benefits, because as a medical doctor, I feel like I had the responsibility to share this knowledge. Like, okay, I came to medicine to help people heal. So if the way we eat really contributes in a significant part of how we feel and how we're gonna do at the end, why not? So I try to combine those things, and that's how Raw Vegan Doctor came about at the end of 2018. So I was producing content, videos, and all of that. It was a transitional phase in my life. I moved to England and a lot of things happened, but I was more free. And I did the raw vegan thing for 5 years straight. I attended festivals, but always supplementing with B12. And then I came across the knowledge of vitamin D, and then iodine, things like that. So always, trying to, okay, what else I'm missing? So I always incorporated those. And I think that's the reason for my success to being animal free for almost 12 years now, because I always supplemented.
Okay.
So yeah. And then you want to know why I went high raw? Or you
Yes. Yeah, yeah. So yeah, then you made a shift, and which I've read your newsletters and everything, and but yeah, please help tell the listener about what made you shift in around 2024. Um,
Yes. Yeah, so it was actually it was 2023. At the
okay.
end of 2022, I was like, you know what? I don't like the way I look, and every time that it seems like I need to get in shape, because I always oscillate like weight and our bodies changes, especially for women with every cycle and all of that. And I always oscillate like 2 kilos more, 2 kilos less, and that's my range. It's not a static thing. And then I realized I don't like the way I start to look because I also want to mention the vegan and raw vegan type of eating gave me a lot of energy, carbs. So you had to burn those carbs because otherwise, regardless of how healthy supposedly this diet is, if you eat excess calories, you're gonna increase your fat deposits because you need to understand that carbs metabolize into fat eventually if it's in excess. Anything in excess, you gain weight. So I was like burning all those fruits and carbs by running. I used to run a lot, probably 5 kilometers every day, and during the weekend, maybe like 8 kilometers. I ran several half marathons and all of that. So that type of exercise was really taxing to my body. And then when you reach certain age, not that I'm super old, but I'm not 20 anymore. So I realized that, you know what? I don't like the way my body composition is looking. I feel like I need more shape. So I said, I'm going to start lifting weights. It seems like helps with body composition. And I was reluctant to believe the protein hype because I've been not even by the raw vegan community, but also because I learned from everybody, right? So from the plant-based doctors as well, like T. Colin Campbell and all these people that are like carbs, carbs, and don't worry about protein and all of that. When I switched my sport, I noticed that I couldn't do a push-up, not even one single push-up. And in order to make progress, it took me a while. And then I noticed because I changed my routine of exercise, I kept eating the same way, but my hair also started thinning. And I was like, what's going on? And then I was like, okay, makes total sense, the protein thing.
Mm.
And then one thing led to another. And then the more I started researching it, I was like, okay, it totally makes sense. Like, okay, what are the recommendations? So if you look at the what is it, like all the nutrition societies in the world, the recommendation for protein is zero point grams of protein per kilo of body weight. And that
Yes.
number,
And for
yeah,
and for Americans, that is equal to point zero
point, point three
six
seven or point four.
or 0.36 grams per pound of protein. Is that right?
Right, right, yes. So that's why so many vegans say, I don't even worry about protein. Not only, influencers, but vegan doctors. That's how the influencers learn from, right? From professionals. And then they make it mainstream, not the other way around. So even vegan doctors say, don't worry about protein because 0.36 grams per pound or zero point 0.8 grams per kilo, you're making it,
Okay,
you're
yeah,
not
just to
eating.
put that in perspective, if you're 150 pounds, that's about 54 grams of protein.
Right.
So yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm gonna use my weight that I had before so I can remember the numbers because
yeah.
so I used to weigh 120 pounds. So zero point 0.8, I have a calculator actually. So we are like precise in all of these things because it's numbers at the end of the day, and that really matters. So 120 pounds was around 50 kilos, more or less. So
Uh-huh.
just let's round it up to 50 kilos. 50 times zero point 0.8, going by the recommendation is 40 grams
Yep.
for a size like mine. So I was completely fine. If you eat plenty of fruits and vegetables per day, you're gonna get your 40 grams. But if you are in calorie restriction or mono mealing, like many people like to do, or fasting, you're barely reaching 40 grams, especially if you are taller than me. I am 5'3", 5'3". So a person that is almost 6 feet, sorry, 40 grams, it's not enough. Now, this is just to fulfill our requirements, right? Because protein is not only muscle, protein is not only, I don't know what people think when they think about protein. Protein is everywhere. If you study biology and histology, I know this because I see it on a daily basis. Every single organ is made of protein.
Yep.
So, yes, there is a lot of exaggeration from the carnivore bodybuilding community, and that's why it's kind of cringe for us to hear like, oh, you don't need to stuff yourself with protein like these people.
Right.
like you don't worry about protein,
It
it's
is
enough.
possible to get too much. Right? There's the other side of the extreme where
Yeah.
you're just eating excessive amounts of protein. But then
Yes.
what you're saying is that when your hair is thinning, you're starting to wonder, okay, is my body not getting enough protein for the exercise I'm doing? And so is it starting to synthesize protein from other parts of my body to build the muscle?
Yes. So I was doing fine, like as a raw vegan, high fruit, high carb, low fat, low protein. I was reaching 40 grams, and that in the past that allowed me to keep running because running is just energy. Obviously, you need protein in your legs, right, to have strong muscles in your legs to keep running. But it's your my body actually adapted to a way that I don't tear up my protein in my muscles with every single run. I actually burn carbs when I'm running. So it never required like extra work from me. I never run to the point of I'm breaking down all my fiber muscles in my legs, and then next day I need to repair. Never happened like that. It was more like a recreational thing for me to do, and unless I run like a race, I need to push myself. Sometimes, in the past, I used to finish 5K in my record is 22 minutes. So that was back in the days when I ran a lot. But after those races, I was turned down like the next day. So if you're putting more effort in working out, you're definitely gonna need to recover and replenish, and you need to refuel to build what is broken. So when you work out for bodybuilding, not, like I don't want to be super muscular,
Hmm.
but to reshape my body and to put muscle in the parts that is gonna give me a nice physique. With every single workout, you're breaking down muscle fibers, and that's how muscle grows. You break apart the fibers, and then you put on protein and amino acids to build the fibers stronger and bigger. So that's what happened. So these 40 grams that I was eating as a raw vegan, high carb, low fat, low protein, served me just to keep living, just to keep me alive. But once my protein muscle broke with every single workout, my body's like, okay, hair is not important. We actually need to repair a wound that is happening on a continuous basis after every workout that this woman is inflicting on us. So hair is not important. This is where the protein needs to go. So I realized, you know what? Working out requires protein.
Okay. And so
Yeah.
so part of this shift happened because you made a shift from more cardio into more resistance training.
Yeah.
And this due to your just pursuing you talk about body recomposition, but
Yes.
just having the type of physique that's the most healthy, which is more muscular, more kind of fit, not so much like the lean runner, but more um, having more muscle composition. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, so that's along the lines. I was doing this, tweaking my diet, seeing the effects, and also consuming literature and content from other people that were more experienced than me. And at the same time, I learned this term, body recomposition, meaning your body basically is formed like what gives you the weight and your shape is based on your bone structure, your muscle, your skeletal muscle, and the subcutaneous fat that you have. And sometimes, if somebody has a big belly, it's the visceral fat that you have. So, body recomposition means that you are basically melting the fat while at the same time you're putting more density in your bones and in your musculature.
Okay.
So let's let's put myself as an example again because I cannot talk about somebody else, right? Not that I love talking about me, but I can see it in my own journey. When I was a runner, I used just to give you an example, okay? When I was a runner, high carb, low protein, low fat, I used to eat around 2,500 calories, right? 2,500 calories. And that gave me the body composition of somebody who is skinny, skinny fat, because I was accumulating body fat in my trunk. I didn't never had like the hourglass. We can do another video about like ladies who promote like flat belly all the time. It's not healthy. But I never had that figure because my body composition was more towards my muscles getting weaker and accumulating
Okay.
more fat. So that's the skinny fat look. I will never gain a lot of weight to make me look obese or overweight or fat because of my sport, because eating 2,500 calories on a consistent basis and burning those excess calories by running, I will never gain the weight. But eventually, with age, you lose muscle fibers.
I see. I see.
Yes.
And this is called sarcopenia, right?
Yeah.
When muscle starts to leave the body, right? And this is
Yeah. If
this is
you don't use your muscles, you
aging. It's
lose.
aging process, yes?
It's part of the aging process. If you go to any nursing home, you see how, like some people have prominent bellies, but their shoulders look very, like this. Their legs, most 70-year-old guys' legs, they look like sticks, right? And
Oh,
they have prominent trunk and central area, but everything else is so weak. Same with women. So I started noticing, I mean, I never reached that point, but I was like, why? You know, I look slim. I never increased sizes. My weight was 120 pounds. My size was zero, but it's just the way my body is structured. I don't look good and I don't feel good. And yeah, I just realized I need more shape. I need more biceps, more deltoids, maybe more glutes, maybe more quads. So body recomposition means that with time, with proper diet, proper protein supplementation, proper training, you are gonna keep melting the fat. Your size is gonna stay the same, or maybe it's gonna increase a little bit more because the muscles. But your bone density is gonna be much better. You could recover from osteopenia and osteoporosis, and you're gonna weight more. That's the thing. Before I was size zero, 120 pounds. Now I'm size two or size zero sometimes, but I weigh 130 pounds, and I
okay.
don't look overweight because I muscle
Hmm.
weights more than fat.
Yes, okay.
So I recomposed my body in a way, and I did a DEXA scan to prove it. I just need time to make all this type of content, but a DEXA scan gives you an idea of how the percentage of fat, bone, and muscle that you have in your body. So I
Okay.
remember when I started training back in the days, maybe in the first DEXA scan that I did was around 2020, and my body fat percentage was around 26%. And even the trainer was like, you don't look as a 26%, you look, slimmer than that. And I said, well, I had 26. And then after I trained for a year or so, my bone density was, to the roof, very good. My muscle mass was, all green, check mark green. And then my body fat percentage was 23, 22%. But I weighted
Okay.
more.
Wow, 10 pounds more.
Yes.
And so just to be clear, this is not it's not just about, having the kind of body that we want, materialistically, or, looking sexy, or, having a certain physique. You're really trying to beat the aging process, and you're doing this for health reasons to try to have the most healthy body. Am I understanding that correctly?
To be honest, I do it for both reasons.
Sure.
Once you realize it's motivational to see how your body's transforming and how you're able to preserve other tissues, without compromising the things that make me a woman, like long hair, my collagen. I mean, collagen is protein. At the end of the day, it's just another name. But I could see I don't know if you find old content of mine, but I can see how my skin looked thinner in a way, like more papery, and now it's more full. Maybe because I have more weight, of course, but it doesn't look bad. It doesn't look like I'm overweight. It's
It looks
just
great. It looks great. You look very radiant, I have to say.
Oh,
So,
thank you. I used to put some makeup, but yes, it's definitely helping not only, building muscle, but also other parts of my body that require this important macronutrient. And at the end of the day, it's that. Now, the hesitation from vegans and raw vegans comes from, okay, it clashes with your belief system and the indoctrination that we have had for a lot of years, it clashes with the fact that, oh, humans are frugivores. And if you accept that maybe we need more protein, that means that maybe we're not frugivores. So all of these things, you need to contrast and question that because I don't believe that we are frugivore exclusive. Yes, we are frugivores, but if you read the definition of frugivores, and if you see the strict frugivores in the wild, they are not vegan. Unfortunately, we have this
Right.
utopian view of how we should be in paradise and all that, for sure. I wish that was the case, but we are not in that situation. So I don't believe we are frugivore exclusive. I believe that we are omnivores with a tendency for frugivorism. And now it comes the part where, okay, now I have my ethical point of view, which is I don't want to consume animal products. I don't want, I'm sure of that. So for me, my particular reasoning is like, if I can stay vegan and supplement the things that are missing from the animal kingdom, I will do it rather than
Okay.
just sticking to the raw vegan label and frugivorism and all of that. Well, that's what other people believe, but that doesn't define me. And I see other things that may be missing, and I'm seeing it on myself. And nobody's pursuing the things that I'm pursuing. None of the long-term raw vegans are muscular. And again, it's for women. It's like the beauty standards are so ridiculous even today, like surgeries and all that stuff, but Botox. But the beauty standards for women, especially in the Ryan community, like, okay, you need to have an hourglass figure, and always you have your belly, super flat. That's not synonymous of health. That's just aesthetics, appearance. Maybe some people will achieve that, but maybe other organs are suffering. And social media is just whatever you want to display is what you're gonna show in the world. Like right now, we are on Zoom, and Zoom retouches our appearance a little bit. But yeah, if you have something to sell, and if you've been doing this for years, it's better that you keep spreading the same message. But
Yes.
you know,
Yes. And you've seen that but you have a unique perspective on that where coming up in the establishment and in the conventional profession of being a pathologist, being a board certified medical doctor, and so you can recognize when people kind of get stuck on a track and they keep going. I'm curious from your perspective on that. You're someone who like thinks outside the box and you evolve and you look for new information and you keep evolving. Have you from your colleagues, have you seen, people push back on you or criticize you or saying, for going out there and promoting plant-based or other things or what's that
not until
experience been
now.
like?
No, not until now. And if they secretly see my content or whatever and think whatever they want to think, it's up to them. No, some people, especially residents, the younger generation, are more curious, and especially when we interview candidates for our program, in the interview season, they obviously Google the faculty of the program that they're interviewing. It's like, oh, I noticed that you said in your biography that you go plant-based, and some of them have followed me on Instagram, and I'm like, whatever, because it's something unheard of in the medical system.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Um, and have you really received a lot of pushback and criticism from the raw vegan community when you?
No, maybe, maybe like it's it feels like betrayal, like, oh, you were raw vegan and you came to the light and now you're, rejecting this knowledge. Maybe some people believe that, but again, my message has always been about health. When I turned raw vegan is because I believed at the time, and the evidence at the time made me think that this was the best option, and that I was so excited that I decided to promote it because it's great. Eating raw foods is amazing. Eating fruit, don't be afraid of fruit. I eat fruit. Most of my calories come from carbs. I eat 60 to 65% of carbs, but not 80
Yes.
or 90% of carbs. So this little modification plus the exercise can really make a difference.
Okay.
So my approach is not for, to promote a detox protocol. I'm not promoting heal an autoimmune disease or, fast or cleanse. No, it's how to live a life that is compassionate, but at the same time free of dogma and also looking at the evidence because we're falling short in certain things.
I love that. I mean, listen to what Dr. Relly's saying. It's a different approach depending on where you're at in your journey. If you're someone who you're in a really serious health problem and there's a lot of toxicity in the body, yeah, maybe you're going to be following a different approach. Dr. Relly's at a point where she is trying, she's succeeding in body recomposition. She is already healthy. She's trying to reach a certain body type to give her the most health and longevity. And so she's working a program to do that and now doing 60 to 65% carbs, 15 to 20% protein, and 15 to 20% fat. Um, for the protein, is it mostly um, beans and soy? Um, and
Yeah.
yeah, because I have
Yeah, so the protein sources for vegans sometimes are misunderstood. Like some people think beans and quinoa, which in reality, if we, everybody has this information. Like nowadays, you can just Google it. Higher percentage of protein per calories, say that per calories in plants, and you're
okay,
gonna come across seitan, which is
yes,
gluten. I don't need that just because I think it's highly processed, but I
okay,
don't see anything bad with it anymore. Like I broke so many belief systems, right? Like, oh, it's bad because it's processed. No, I no longer believe that. Um, Tofu, tofu
uh-huh,
has higher protein content than cooked beans, for example. So I go for
okay,
tofu rather than beans. I rarely eat quinoa. Again, listen, I know the benefits of eating raw, and I definitely feel better when I stick to raw. But like if you have the time and patience and energy for sprouting your lentils and all of that, go for it. But sometimes I eat cooked lentils. So yeah, I think tofu, seitan, and protein powders, especially protein powders, are the highest protein sources. Some
okay.
people have like a version for protein powders because there's heavy metals in them and all of that. I mean, it's a matter of trust in the brand that you want to purchase from. We're not exempt from heavy metals, even if we're raw vegans. They're everywhere. But yeah, I feel like, I mean, it's been 2 years like this. And again, I'm not preaching to everyone like indiscriminately use your protein powder. It's like, I just do it because to reach the numbers that are recommended for the sport that I'm practicing right now, I need the powder. And I don't have any issues with that other than what I explained in my third newsletter, where I said the pros and cons of eating this way.
Yes, and it's always a trade-off.
Yes.
There's same thing if you're gonna go, you know, 80, 90% carbs, raw vegan, there is some trade-off with that too, and and do you track your macros using using what's the tool that you use for our listener that they could use it?
Yeah, you can create a free account on chronometer.com. MyFitnessPal.com is also really good. And there are a few others I'm not familiar with, but I know that there are better apps, like modern apps nowadays, that track your food. I don't know. There is one that if you photograph the plate that you're gonna eat, it detects by AI what it is, and it gives you an estimate of how many grams and what you're eating and breaks down all the macros for you. So
Wow.
yeah, there are tools. But if you want to do it like old school, just Google everything that you eat. And I don't track it every day. I did it at the beginning to learn the math and the science, but now I just eyeball it and I
Okay.
just like raw vegan.
I
You
see.
like there's a learning curve for that.
Okay.
Yeah.
But as you're getting started and you want to track your macros, yeah, I've used
Yeah.
Chronometer and it makes it super easy.
Yeah.
So going back to the macros, so when you cook beans or t tofu or soy, is it can you soak it? Do you soak it before you cook it or
Yeah, it's recommended for the beans to be soaked. So you eliminate all of these anti-nutrients that are gonna give you gas So yeah, I soak them
Okay.
and cook. Yeah, you cannot
Okay.
eat sprouted beans because some of them are toxic, so you need to cook them.
Got it. Got it. Okay. So you do know normally you're soaking as part of your preparation.
Yeah, but right now I'm not recurring to beans as my protein source. Tofu is a soybean at the end of the day, but
Yes.
it's a processed version of the soybean. If I had edamame available, fresh edamame, I would prefer that for sure. Um, that's another thing that I forgot to mention as a good source of protein, edamame.
Okay.
Um,
And so what about I was having this thought and I'm curious to get your feedback on this, but what about amino acids? So my understanding is when we eat protein, the body breaks it down to amino acids and then it recomposes into protein in the body. Um, can't we just load up on eating amino acids, or is it just hard to find that much volume of amino acids to consume, every day? But can't we just do a workaround and then go straight to the amino acids instead of consuming the protein? Um,
yeah.
what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I know that some people promote branch chain amino acids and they're marketed that way. So branch chain amino acids they're not even amino acids, they're peptides. Some of them are peptides,
Okay.
some of them come in individual forms of amino acids, but it will require a lot of chemical processing to break them
Yes.
down. Because imagine even just eating a spinach leaf, there is a whole biochemical chain of reactions that happen from the mouth, the mastication, the saliva, the emulsification, all of that. Swallowing that, going into the stomach, chloric acid, or yeah, breaking it down even more, and then going into your duodenum, and then having the pancreatic enzymes and breaking it down a little bit more. All of that chain of reactions just to absorb the amino acids of that spinach leaf. So imagine that from a fabric where you have the protein sources, let's say pea protein, just to extract the amino acids. It's gonna be more time consuming, probably more expensive, and yeah, at the end of the day, we are just eating like a more synthetic version of proteins with the protein powder. And I will dare to say that obtaining those amino acids, it will be even more chemically processing just to
Okay.
get them.
Yes.
But I don't think they're bad per se, because sugar, what is sugar? Like some people opt for not having white sugar, they will go for the cane sugar or brown sugar, things like that, to avoid the chemical processing to make it white, right?
Okay.
Fine. So amino acids, I don't know exactly what is the processing to obtain the pure form of amino acids, but I can guarantee that it requires more processing.
Right.
But I don't think it's bad per se. Same with the protein powder. I don't think it's bad per se. It shouldn't be like the main source. Like, okay, I'm just gonna drink three protein shakes every day. It's not a meal substitution. It's just like supplementation.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, what about if you were going to have the same macro target of 15 to 20%, but you wanted to, let's say you wanted to keep it raw, um, what would you eat to get that protein in?
Yeah. So the thing with this is that why high raw if I'll answer to you right now. Yes, you can get them, but the problem is that if you want to eat the same amount of calories, it's impossible to get the 20% of your macros from protein if you want to stick to a 2000 to 2500 calories per day. So just
Okay.
to give you an example, one banana has 100 grams of carbs, 1 gram of protein, and 100 calories, just to round it up. A big banana, right? 100
Uh-huh.
calories and then 1 gram of protein. In order to get so what I'm getting out of 25 bananas, I'm getting 2,500 calories, but just 25 grams of protein. You see?
Right. Yes.
So in order to
And
reach,
you're trying to hit more like 50.
yeah, 80, greater than 80.
Okay, 80, 80.
Fine
So
for
so now
me.
you're
Yeah,
only at 25 grams and you're at your calories for the day.
exactly.
Okay.
So you need to really learn a little bit of nutrition, which everybody can get self-taught with these apps, Googling things, what every food that you eat. And it's just at the beginning, just to because you need to have some sort of control, right, of what you're eating and see how you're doing. So if you want to keep it as raw as possible and not gain weight, because excess calories is excess weight, I will do more. I'll cut the fruit, which is like a blasphemy for some people, but I will cut the fruit and I'll probably eat more salads and more sprouts.
Okay. So
Yeah.
what about nuts and seeds? Is that tricky because they're much higher in fat than they are in
Yeah.
protein?
Yeah, and one of the principles of eating the raw vegan diet the right way is that you keep it low fat, right? And
Hmm.
there is a reason for that. I also keep it low fat. I don't believe that beyond 10% of fat is bad, but I see the difference when I eat excess fat, like beyond 20%. And I know the numbers because I track myself. So I try to keep it 15%, 20%. And if you try to eat pumpkin seeds or flax seeds to get more protein, you're gonna eat more than 20% of fat.
Okay. That's so this is why this is so tricky because
Yes,
basically the beans and the legumes are they're unique because they're very high in protein, but they're low in fat.
yes.
Um,
That's why Dr. Greger and all the plant-based doctors, they say the longest living individuals eat beans worldwide, because, it's low fat and high in fiber, high carbs, and high protein. So
okay.
it's a good food. And if you want to really be strict about the botanical definition of a bean, at the end of the day, a bean is a fruit.
Right.
Botanically speaking, it's categorized as fruit, but you cannot eat it, straight from the plant. Um, so it has to be
Okay.
heat processed.
Um, what is your view on enzymes? Do you take them? Do you see an issue with them?
Yeah, so at the beginning, it was not easy transitioning to a high raw vegan diet because after 5 years of raw exclusive, my microbiome was not used to digesting tofu, beans, and all of that, and even the protein powder. So it was a transitional phase, probably lasted like the first 2 weeks were horrible. I'm not gonna lie. But I knew that my microbiome was not the colonies of bacteria that I needed to process that food needed to develop with time. So the more you do it and then find ways to tweak it, I probably felt comfortable after 2 months, not digestive problems and all of that. So digestive enzymes could help at the beginning for sure. But I found that even with the digestive enzymes, if you don't drink enough water, if you don't accompany your protein meals with fiber, high water fruit food, and if you don't space out your meals, that's also something that you have to learn. As a raw vegan, I used to eat every 2 hours, every 3 hours. Now with a high raw vegan, higher protein approach, I eat probably more space. So there is no um, like the timing, for my bowel movements and the digestion to take process, it doesn't interferes with what's going on from, 2 hours ago from what I'm eating right now. So I space
Okay.
out my meals a little bit more. So that's the trick. I believe that's a trick.
Okay. Okay. We're talking with Dr. Areli, drareli.com, on Instagram at Dr. Areli. Is that Dr. Areli?
Yeah, I think in Instagram I put a dot after doctor, dr dot
Okay.
Areli.
Dr. dot Areli,
Yeah,
Areli.
yeah.
I almost forgot to mention Dr. Areli is also one of our speakers at Texas Fruit Festival, which is an event in Austin, Texas. It is not a 100% raw vegan dogmatic event. It's an event that's open to everybody, and the speakers that we're having are just people who have great information about natural health and promoting especially plant-based longevity. And so we're very excited that Dr. Areli is going to be there in September of 2025, TexasFruitFestival.com. I want to ask you, Dr. Areli, about supplements. I know you've mentioned taking multivitamin, vitamin B, vitamin D, different things. I'm also big on supplements. I've come around and evolved over the years on supplements, but I want to ask you. I don't want to beat a dead horse on like the main supplements that we take, but I want to ask you about some of the stuff that I'm seeing out there with functional medicine and some of the people that are on the cutting edge. A lot of times I'm seeing them and they're prescribing like peptides, which we talked about, synthetic peptides, or things like DHEA, hormone precursors, things that you can't really find in nature. They're only made by the body, but they're being synthesized. And so I'd like to get what are your thoughts on stuff like that? Are you to me, I'm skeptical to consume something like that. That's a little more unnatural. But what are your thoughts on seeing kind of where that's going in the space?
Yeah. Well, I think it really depends because some people take supplements and precursors and all of that for beauty purposes, right? Like collagen powders is for women to prevent the wrinkles, um, or to delay the appearance of wrinkles, to have a more supple appearance in your skin. So, as a woman, if something is enhancing my beauty, I'll take it. But it's totally up to you. I guess for a man it's not a priority, but for me it is. So whenever I reach menopause, to have an easy transition, maybe I'll do hormone replacement therapy. Maybe now the reason why I'm also doing the bodybuilding type of exercises and resistance training is not only for my body composition and bone health, but also for an easy transition into menopause and to avoid the slowdown that happens immediately after menopause. So if you have, because muscle is not only like a aesthetic thing that helps you move and look, plump and all of that, it's also an organ. So the
Hmm.
more myofibers you have, is an organ that actually helps you with your immunity, helps you. It's so many things that happens at the metabolic level that I also learn along the way. So yeah, when you come to the functional medicine aspect of things, people recommend things to enhance certain functions in the body, ashwagandha and all of these terms, like or kind of like Eastern medicine, Chinese type of thing. It's
Hmm.
just to enhance certain functions. And I don't see, I think with anything that comes with abuse, maybe it's bad for you. But honestly, like I haven't studied everything that people promote out there. So the
Yeah,
peptides, peptides, of course, is another way of saying proteins at the end of the day. Because proteins, I mean, it's just like, I
branched
don't know, I'm
chain
gonna,
proteins.
sorry.
A branched chain. It's like a collection of proteins.
Yeah, so this is my bracelet, right? So every single this is a whole protein.
Yes.
But if I cut this two, every single link, I can make an earring, right?
Mhm.
And I get rid of the whole bracelet, and this makes an earring. But there are amino acids to make the earring. So, but if I flip it in a way that is rounded like this, maybe there are like 10 links and I can make a ring. But at the end of the day, it's a chain of peptides. Peptides is a chain of amino acids. So
Amino
this
acids. Yeah.
thing is a peptide, but one link is an amino acid. Five of them is a peptide, and the whole thing that is forming something is a protein. So it's the same thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have you thought about just getting a bucket of amino acids and just saying, let me just take these because it all goes back to the amino acids, you know? I mean,
Yeah.
it's hard
No,
to
it's,
find
it's
them. It's hard to concentrate them
It's
and
hard to concentrate them. And again, when people study bodybuilding and what peptides, what amino acids go into synthesizing muscles, they came across different types of amino acids. Don't quote me on this. You can Google it right now. the three most important amino acids that contribute to muscle synthesis, and I think it's leucine, lysine, and I forgot the other one. But those three have been studied to start the muscle protein synthesis. So those are the ones that you find in GNC, or this type of stores, health stores, that are exclusively for starting muscle protein synthesis. But
Hmm.
then collagen supplements have other types of amino acids like arginine, and then you throw in copper and
Yeah.
vitamin C to make collagen. So they sell you something that is going to boost your collagen production because they add other ingredients and other types of amino acids. So again, it's gain of function,
Okay.
not a virus.
Um, yeah,
Yeah.
not the other kind of, not the bad kind.
Yeah.
Wow. What I love about Dr. Areli is that you have an open mind, and I've learned to be the same way, that we like not to just judge something immediately, and I think we need more of that to in our world, and
Yeah.
so
It's just having that open mindedness to question your, because it's for your own benefit. And same as we reject the medical establishment, because I'm part of it, but I noticed that it was not for me. That's why I choose pathology, because I have nothing to do with pharmaceuticals, nothing to do with insurance companies, nothing to do with the workflow of conventional medicine. I'm just in my office, and I read the slides, and I make diagnoses, and I make reports. I'm a
okay,
consultant for doctors, basically. But just because we reject that system that is faulty in so many ways doesn't mean that, and there's a tendency for our human nature. We have a tendency for, oh, I reject all of this and I put it in the this is the bad guy box.
right,
And everything else, I embrace it with open hands without questioning. Like, maybe there are bad guys, not because they want to be bad, but there are gaps in knowledge. So, with the same scrutiny that we judge the medical system, we should also judge the
yes,
things that we embrace. So, that's my that's what I learned, because I also have this tendency. We
no,
are idealists in a way.
yes, my father, he was a minister in the
Mhm,
church, and
mhm,
I learned over time that my father is, a good man who's doing good work inside of a system that's really broken.
mhm.
And the church is doing some good things and a lot of dysfunction. Uh, and but he's still in that system. So you see that it's not black and white, and that it's gray shades of gray. And so for you, working in the medical system, being a pathologist and studying where is disease coming from, where's the body kind of breaking down, what what patterns do you see that is the origins of pathology of the body having problems? Where does that is it inflammation, or where does that come from in terms of a pattern?
Well, that's the interrogation that everybody has trying to discover the cure of cancer, right? It's multifactorial. I think it's multifactorial. Inflammation is just one branch of or one aspect of it. So in my desk, in my microscope, two main things come to me every day: cancer and inflammation. So, for example, if I'm a neuropathologist as well, so I do like I specialize in brain biopsies. So
Yes.
when a neurosurgeon takes a brain tissue from a patient, I make a diagnosis of certain brain tumor, right? Um, Nobody knows how that tumor reached that point, how it started. We're talking about cell phone radiation, all of that. At the end of the day, I think it's multifactorial. Same with inflammation. Sometimes the patients have uh, encephalitis, meningitis, things like that. So I see the inflammation happening there. But in certain occasions, there is a link between inflammation and cancer, like chronic gastritis and gastric carcinoma is proven. Also, H. pylori. That's kind of like a very strong link. Not all types, there are different types of gastric cancers, but there is a particular type that is associated with H. pylori, and H. pylori associated with chronic gastritis. But you cannot tell the same thing for everything that happens in the body. So you can have inflammation like tonsillitis,
Yes.
and it's just like something chronic, but I don't see association with carcinoma of the throat. Sometimes you have HPV in the cervix of the uterus of a woman, and that's linked to cervical cancer. But yeah, it's an incognito, and I feel like it's multifactorial. Some people, and also you have your personal genetic makeup that makes you more susceptible to other things than others.
Okay. I've I've seen I'm familiar with this concept talking about the anatomy of how let's say a tumor forms, which
Yeah.
is there's a concept that's out there that's saying that basically the cells become um, basically toxic or they get intercellular waste that becomes toxic and that the mass that's formed or the tumor or the blob that's forming is basically like a buffer that the body is forming to almost encapsulate that area to keep it to, from spreading or from the toxins getting to other areas of the body.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good theory, I would say. At the end of the day, if you analyze an individual tumor cell, is a crazy cell. Like it's self-dividing, is independent, like it no longer obeys the rules of that tissue, because the cells are self-contained. Like if, in my skin, if one of my epithelial cells of my skin, they're just gonna evolve to the surface and they're gonna desquamate. That's the cycle. But
Okay.
if I have skin cancer, that cell never matures and becomes a squame. It just keeps proliferating, and um, I feel like the
Oh,
toxicity and yeah, the toxemia theory and all of this acid base, alkaline and all of that is interesting as to understand that we should be cleaner and that we should enhance the body to be clean and to avoid excesses. But I don't see that theory applying to every single type of cancer. Maybe to
yeah.
some of them, yes. I wouldn't like,
Okay.
yes.
So it's more like again, it's not black and white. It's more of like we're gonna play the odds. Yes, if you want to make your body alkaline and get the toxins out, you're putting the odds in your favor, but we can't guarantee, you can't guarantee that you can avoid all these problems. There's no guarantees like that in
There's
this
no
life.
guarantees, unfortunately. And that's our tendency as well. Like we want to find the youth, the fountain of youth, the fountain of immortality. And it's just a tendency that we have. We don't want to die. And I mean, I believe that we can live longer than the life expectancy and keeping as healthy as possible and functional as possible. And definitely the raw vegan diet, and high in fruit, high in vegetables, leafy greens, and all of that is going to give you advantages to preventing certain diseases, but you also have to pay attention. What are the things that I'm missing from this that probably are going to give me osteoporosis if I don't promote, muscle growth and bone density and all of that. So, I mean, I would rather have osteoporosis than cancer or a heart attack. So it's pick what you want. Like there's no warranty with anything, but it definitely helps. At the end, it's like a healthy metabolism. I know that people use acid, alkaline, and all of that to understand more, especially if you don't have any background in biology or medicine, which is fine. I debated this a lot, but I think it's harming. Like I don't know if it's harming more people just going by this reductionist approach, the alkaline acid, but it's a good way to understand that you need to have a healthy metabolism. At the end of the day, your pH in your body remains at the same level. You cannot
Yes.
oscillate to a very alkaline or very acid because you die. So the
Right.
body has systems to buffer alkalinity or acidity, but
Yes.
certain foods for sure, right? Coca-Cola and like every single venom out there that we know, it's gonna be more acidic for sure.
And so then the body will buffer the buffering systems get kicked up and then
Yes.
um So,
But we cannot live forever buffering the aggression, right? So that's how disease happens. Like we overload or how abuse those systems.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, okay, a couple lightning round questions. I want to make sure I ask you. This is super interesting, and I so appreciate this conversation. What about omega 3s? Do you have a go-to for omega
Yeah,
3s?
I don't know the name of the brand, but there are vegan DHA, EPA supplements. So I go for those.
Okay.
Dr. Clapper, are you familiar with Dr. Clapper?
No.
Dr. Clapper is probably past 80 years old. He's a very famous vegan doctor. He had a debate with Joel Fuhrman and, like those plant-based doctors. They were debating between like, oh, should we supplement with omega-3s or not? Dr. Clapper said no, but eventually and I like what or the way he does things because he kind of goes back and analyzes and says, you know what? Yes, we need to take them. So I think that's how we should approach things, like reconsider it, the things that we rejected and see like actually it's beneficial. So that's how I learned that it's actually beneficial. I was following him for a long time and I still follow him because I think he's honest. So he said eventually like, oh no, we don't need it. But then he analyzed the information and said, you know what, we need it. So I take it. I don't think it's harming me. I would rather have excess of it. Some people say that it causes side effects. In my case, I haven't seen them. So it's try it on yourself and see.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. What about salt? Do you use salt? What are your thoughts about it?
I avoid salt as much as I can. Sometimes if I eat out and if there is in the menu some salad with tofu or something. Sometimes they use more spices and salt than usual or what I'm used to, but I try to keep it low salt. Yeah. But
Okay.
no, I don't use salt on purpose unless it comes with it. And even the tofu, I ate plain tofu, and if it comes with salt or some sort of sauce, teriyaki or thing, I just washed it off. I rinse it in the sink, and I don't cook it. I mean, it's my personal preference. Like, why would I add extra calories to my tofu by deep frying it or, putting some breadcrumbs? And I don't do any of that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um, we've been talking with Dr. Areli Cuervas. No, no, no. Dr. Areli Cuervas Campos.
Ocampo.
Cuervas Ocampo. Yes.
Yeah.
Dr. Areli is at drareli.com. That's drareli.com. And on Instagram at dr.areli. Um, we're so honored that Dr. Areli is going to be at Texas Fruit Festival this year, giving a special talk. She's going to be part of a Q&A panel discussion, and you can meet her and say hello to her. TexasFruitFestival.com in Austin, Texas. It's going to be a lot of fun. Um, as we close out here, Dr. Relly, what do you what keeps you going? What keeps you motivated? Because I see you and you're pushing yourself, and it takes work and it takes a lot of energy to push yourself. So what's inspiring you to keep going like that?
That's a good question. I have had my down moments as well, but I feel like just the instinct of keep living, as a human. Also, if there is some pockets of hope in the world in terms of animal cruelty, and if I can be part of it and encourage people to be cautious and do it in a responsible way, I want to be part of it as well. What else? Just feeling good. That really motivates me. Feeling good, looking good, staying at the top of my game. That motivates me because, I mean, there is always like the dark side of everything, or how do you call it? Like pick your pain, right?
Oh,
There's a
yes.
saying.
Uh-huh.
So at the end of the day, like the discipline of doing the thing is gonna cause you temporary pain, but it's gonna get you benefits. whether if you just are lazy and you let yourself go, it's gonna cause you momentary pleasure, but pain at the end. So I choose my pain. That keeps me going, and also love for myself, because nobody's gonna take care for you the way you take care of yourself. So learn to
Wow.
love yourself.
Have you ever heard of the marshmallow study?
No.
So they did this study, and I think it was these children were 5 years old,
Okay.
and they took them in this room, and they put them on a chair with a table, and it had a marshmallow on it, and they said, you have two choices. You can, if you wait 5 minutes and you don't eat the marshmallow, we'll bring you two more marshmallows. If you eat the marshmallow, you don't get any more marshmallows. And so some of the kids they waited and they got more marshmallows. Some of the other kids they couldn't wait and they ate it. They then followed these children for the next 20 or 30 years, and they found vast differences. The kids that delayed that pleasure and gratification, they were far happier and more successful in everything in their lives. And so, listen to what Dr. Areli is telling you. She's saying she is delaying eating the marshmallows so that she's sacrificing short-term pleasure so that she can have more energy, be at the top of her game, have great
Yeah.
physique, and I love your answer. And where do you see the things going in the world now in 2025? Looking out, um, what's your point of view
Like for the diet aspect of
in
things.
terms of health of people, getting healthier, learning the right information? Where do you see things going?
Hmm. I don't know. I wish I know, but the ideal scenario, I mean, I could tell you that for me is that more people become aware that at the end of the day, it's metabolic health that matters, like whether you decide to go vegan or omnivore, whatever. It's just like it's a combination of a lot of things, and also more open-mindedness to, is that the right way to say it? Open mind.
Open-mindedness, yeah.
Mindedness, yes, I was missing something. Yeah, the open-mindedness to embrace uh, different ways of thinking and also embrace the compassionate side of things and not just go for the fame. I think like every single human is on a journey, right? So you see all these omnivores and they're usually very um, strong with not only in their physique but also the arguments that they bring, and they're so confident and so secure of themselves, and the way they present the information is so convincing. And then there is this bully aspect of, oh, weak vegans, things like that, but um I don't know, ideally it would be like people in the vegan world not disregarding each other, like, oh, you're cooked vegan, like more like unity, I would say. And even from the carnivore point of view, like just embracing more compassion and ditching pleasure, which I believe that meat tastes good. I forgot the flavor at this point and I don't crave it, but yeah, in the ideal world will be like a more compassionate way of living, maybe more synthetic ways of eating, and healthier. Not because the synthetic is bad. Now we know that deep frying and sugary stuff and all of that is bad. But tofu, for example, I don't believe is bad. Some people can't tolerate soy, and of course, I'm not generalizing for everybody. Some people know that they cannot tolerate soy products. That's fine. But more synthetic ways of eating just to supplement our diet and making us more healthy. Yeah, a better society. I hope, it looks um, grim a little bit, but we'll see.
Yeah,
We'll
yeah.
see.
It does. On the one hand, you have, big group of billions of people that are getting more and more sick, right? And then on the other hand, you have this big group of people that's really, evolving, I think, and getting more natural, and they're interested in that. And so, um,
Yeah.
And last question for Dr. Areli, what are you most excited about coming to Texas Fruit Festival and being a part of that event?
Yeah, I haven't been in festivals for the last 2 years, so it's gonna be exciting to reconnect with like-minded people. At the end of the day, we all worry about health and trying to disseminate this message. So I'm excited to meeting, all faces, new faces. Um, Maybe coming with this new approach and maybe looking forward to having a healthy debate about it. Because again, I don't have all the answers, so I just have explored certain things that other peoples have not explored, and so far it's convincing for me. Um, what else? I'm looking forward to some days off. I think probably I'm gonna take the Friday off just to prepare and yeah, it's always exciting to break your routine a little bit and go. I love Austin. It's an amazing city. The food at the I've been to Texas Fruit
Oh,
Festival once,
yeah.
so I love that you have a variety of fruit. I love exotic fruits. I love all the dishes that are prepared. Yeah, just community. I love what's the name of that place? You're doing in the same place?
Yeah, it's at Casa de Luz.
Casa de la Luz. Yeah,
There's also there's a restaurant there, and they have
yeah,
whole plant-based foods too there. And
yeah.
Casa de Luz, yeah, it's in the spirit of what you're talking about, of just bringing people together. And so
Yeah, yeah. I'm missing that part of the vegan world, the community.
yes,
So
yes.
looking
Well,
forward.
we're so thankful to have you there, Dr. Relly, and I'm grateful to learn from you and seeing what you're doing. And Dr. Relly is a smart cookie, so I hope that you, the listener, has gotten a lot out of this. And keep up with Dr. Relly on Instagram at dr.areli and get her newsletters at drareli.com. Dr. Areli is not a social media guru or a coach or selling a course or something. She's just out here doing this. This is her side project. She's not making money doing this. She's just doing this out of the goodness of her heart to help you. So we're looking forward to seeing you at Texas Fruit Festival, Dr. Areli, and thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you, Dave. Thank you for being so open and receptive. Appreciate it.
Yes. Okay, we'll see you soon.
For more information, please follow at Rapid Regeneration or visit rapidregeneration.com.